We not good?
Motherfucking audacity, fuck. You piece. Seriously.
What's it not? It's not
You
recording?
rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea shit in your ear? Buffalo's anus?
You piece of shit. Audacity. No,
It's
don't
not.
say change. This is absurd. Well, the YouTube edition gets an extra 5 minutes of me complaining right now.
That's fine.
There's some audacity being garbage.
Okay, we're good to go?
We're good to
All
go.
right.
Yeah. Sorry, YouTube.
Mad Dog Productions presents Batcast.
It's pretty dramatic. I'm surprised we're sticking with this name for a second week. By the way. Third week?
I thought about calling it Bat Chat. Mad Dog on Batman, maybe?
Man on man.
Man on man.
Bat on man.
That's
man
like
on
my
man.
it's like my Saturday nights, gentlemen.
I thought we were gonna go Fat Man on Batman, but that already exists.
Oh, really?
That's Kevin Smith's podcast.
Oh, really? Oh.
Thank you for checking out Batcast. I am your host, Andrew Caracci, alongside
Robert Roth, and tonight we have a guest.
Michael Worzalla.
Hey. So we actually have a third chair for the first time in like 2 months?
Maybe longer than that,
3
I want to say. I want to say since like episode 39 of the Pinfall Wrap-Up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's been a little bit then. Okay.
And what do we have in store tonight?
All right. Tonight we'll be reviewing 3 episodes of Batman the Animated Series again. P.O.V, Forgotten, and Be a Clown. So we're doing another 3 episodes.
And I guess what we usually do when we bring on a new guest is we have the guest tell the audience about a little bit about yourself.
We do it Alcoholics Anonymous style.
Right. So my name's Andrew, and I'm an alcoholic.
Rob, I molest children and smoke crack.
My name is Mike, and I run the Right Wing Death Squad in Wisconsin. So
Nice. So, how do you feel about, I don't know, animated series across the board, like be it Batman, Superman, like anything like that?
I don't
Comic books, like where do you stand on that? Like, what are your interests in regard to any of that kind of fun stuff? The world of geekdom, nerdom,
Right.
all of that.
Pretty much.
I don't know. I'm not very open about it. I mean, I really don't find much time to watch it, in all honesty. I enjoyed those 3 episodes more than pretty much anything I've watched in the last month. Probably.
Well, you said you before we went live. You said you watched Arrow, and did you ever watch Flash,
No.
the CW shows?
I watched Arrow for a little bit when I still had a Hulu,
Okay.
and Hulu lost its usefulness to me, so I just kind of.
They moved everything to Netflix now.
Did they?
Yes, and also Hulu lost its license with CW, so there's no CW shows on
Didn't
Hulu.
even know that. Well, good thing I did that. Well, I might start Arrow back up then.
Yep, they got
Because that was one of the only shows I actually enjoyed.
Yeah, it was solid. I pretty much said that Oliver Queen was Bruce Wayne. It was pretty much the same storyline.
Essentially, but he has a bow instead of batarangs.
Right, and he was trapped on an island rather than getting molested by monks. But
and falling into a well of bats.
well, that's that is the Batman Begins storyline of that.
Well, now you see where my geekdom lies.
Right. I mean, as far as comics with me, I'm not really a huge comic book reader, but I am a avid Batman guy. Like I've watched pretty much everything that he's existed in. Huge fan, obviously. And so with that said, where can they check our podcast out? Are we finally on iTunes again?
All right, so for this episode, we're going to be on iTunes. Again, sorry, YouTube, for the rocky start on that. Having a little bit of issues with our program that we use to upload to iTunes. So anyway, iTunes, YouTube Red.
YouTube Red. So
Your
the last
baby.
couple of weeks,
Last
I've been
couple
talking about
decades.
YouTube Red, and YouTube Red is similar to like Spotify, but it's better. It has more music selection that you can use, and the nice thing is, especially if you use it on your phone, which I don't know why you'd get YouTube Red for your laptop. That's just fucking stupid. But all ads are eliminated. That's a key thing. Also, you can play music and while you're not running the app. Like, you know, if you were to pull
or
up
running
YouTube,
the app in the background,
right?
Or if you have the phone closed off
Correct.
or whatever.
Yeah, like I could play this right there. I just hit that button and it still plays.
That's one of the things I use most about YouTube right now is if I'm like not paying attention, I'm watching a video, and then
And you want to cut away and read something.
Yeah, or my phone just shuts off because I'm doing something, and then
Mhm.
it just closes everything, and I'm just like, and then I gotta try to figure out where I was.
So I've been strongly recommending YouTube Red. As I would say, it's a replacement of Spotify. The only thing though that Spotify has that YouTube doesn't is it's still with PlayStation. And if you want to run music while you're playing your games through PlayStation, you can use Spotify. You can't use YouTube for it yet, but we'll see if they get that far.
Good thing I have an Xbox One.
Right. What's partnered with Xbox? Anything?
I don't know. I honestly don't know like what they use for
I
their
don't.
music
You two
service.
are the Xbox guys.
I don't really listen to music while I'm playing games.
Yeah, same here. I don't at all.
Okay,
for the
well,
most part.
I play mostly sports games, so I actually turn the commentary off because I can't stand
And
the
listen to
commentary.
music instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or I'll listen to a podcast or something like
I
that.
don't know. Most of the games I play have pretty baller soundtracks, like all the Fallout and
Right.
definitely the new Skyrim, the new remastered one.
But you guys also don't play any sports games at all.
No.
No.
Right.
No, I can't stand sports games.
Right.
At all.
Right. It's fair enough. I mean, that's what I play a lot of sports games, so that's why I have something running in the background a lot.
So, like with YouTube, do you like when you watch YouTube on the PlayStation, like when you're running the YouTube app on the PlayStation, if
Mhm.
you have a Red account hooked up to it, does it recognize that's a Red account and you have access to the Red stuff? Because YouTube Red
Yes.
also has access to all the new YouTube television
As long
shows.
as if you're logged into your name on YouTube, like for
your
me, it
account,
would be
whatever
Mad
your-
Dog 2001. The Mad Dog 2001 account is a YouTube Red account, so I have access to everything that's on any YouTube Red account on any device I use. And like I said, podcasts and music. So I've been using my Spotify is done now, so I'm purely YouTube Red. It's the same price as Spotify.
$10.
I think so, like
Yeah, somewhere
$9.99 or
there. Yep.
$10.99 or something like that. So, and YouTube has a bigger selection of music, and you can create your own soundtracks. A lot of music that you wouldn't be able to find on iTunes or even Spotify, you'll find on YouTube Red.
Mm.
And, you know, you can get CDs before they come out, that kind of stuff. You know how people leak anything that's leaked on YouTube, that's YouTube Red. You can use it for anything. So, yeah, so strongly recommend it. You can use it to listen to this podcast while you're walking across the street, avoiding that bus that's coming right towards you.
Yeah.
See, and I just saved another person's life.
They're still
Unlike
walking.
the homeless guy that got hit by the train yesterday.
There's a homeless
Is
guy who got
was
hit by a
was
train?
that what happened? What that
Yes.
was?
Yeah, I got stopped by a train, so I had to go around. Yeah, I was told it was a homeless gentleman. They suspect it was a suicide.
I wonder if it was
I
the same
smelled
guy.
like a dead dog, I'd probably jump in front of a train too.
Right. I was going to say it's probably the same guy that was accusing me of stealing his sleeping bag a few weeks ago.
Well,
So-
we apologize to our homeless audience if you lost anyone.
They're not listening.
If, you know, also subscribe to YouTube Red. It's a good use of your money. So we're talking to you right now.
I'm at work, and one of my vendors is bringing in his carts, and some homeless guy standing like in between the trucks and the
Mhm.
docks. He's like yelling at the
Hey!
vendor, yeah, like just drunk off his ass. And the dude's like, "Hey, I think this guy's talking to you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I see what he wants, and he told me, he's like, "You're after that?" I was like, "What?" And then because that's what I heard the first time. I'm sure he said words, but he said like, sleeping bag in one of the trailers, and the guy said I could sleep in there, but now it's locked. And I'm like, well, that sucks to be you. And then he's like, well, can you unlock the trailer so I can get my sleeping bag out of there? I'm like, we don't own those trailers. And I don't know who gave you authority to sleep in the trailers, but definitely no one told you that. He's like, oh. And then he just kind of like wandered off with like, he had like 7 garbage bags he was dragging in a cart. Like, I don't know why.
That's impressive. That is ingenuity. That is hopeless ingenuity. With that ingenuity, he could probably engineer himself a job. You should have hired him. He should have been
I
like,
should
"Here."
have. I don't think I have that kind of authority. I could have made him just stock some chips or something like that.
Just point to something here. Just do this.
Masturbate on it. Do it. Whatever you guys
just opens
do.
up a bag of Cheetos and goes to town.
Also, I would also like one other news item before we get started. Did you read the article of the guy who beat his 6-month had the child abuse on the 6-month-old infant?
Is that the article you showed me last week?
Yes.
Yeah.
So apparently,
I shouldn't laugh at that.
well, here's the thing. So him and his, I guess
Was
his
he ethnic?
No, he was the reason it's relevant is because he was my roommate years ago.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
There's an article.
Yeah, there's an article, and the guy was completely crazy that I lived with. He bought a gun. He wrote my name on a bullet. That was one of the things he did. That was kind of a red flag, a little bit of a red flag. There was one time that the police were at our house. I was coming back from Sporties, and they told me he committed suicide. And my immediate response was, does that mean I don't get to go upstairs and play Madden? Because I could have given a rat's fuck.
So, can I play Madden?
Right.
Your roommate just committed suicide.
Yeah, I didn't give a shit.
Correct. But can I play Madden?
To me, it was my way of like, oh, that means I get to get out of this lease. That was the one thing I was thinking because the guy was a piece of shit. He was crazy too. Batshit crazy. His girlfriend that he was with at the time, I took them both to the hospital because she tried committing suicide in her car. It's the same person who beat her child. So there you go. Small world, I guess. But I mean, 6 months old, and he said he got his parenting advice from watching YouTube videos and watching other dads in the park throw their kids up in the air and catch them. He said he dropped his kid a few times. But he didn't seem to cry, probably because he had a couple broken ribs.
Mean, the brain damage kind of has a tendency to prevent the whole crying part of things. So
the injuries were 4 fractured skull, or 4 fractures to the skull, or whatever that means. A broken 6th rib, two broken bones in the right leg, and a broken bone in the left.
No, on the bright side, the kid will be extra flexible.
Right. So I think they got arrested. I'm pretty sure they did. There wasn't a whole lot of information on there.
Why? They just raised the gymnast.
I'm just saying, like, in all seriousness, though, I never thought that he would be capable of just – I knew he was stupid. Like, because he told me Andre the Giant was from Milwaukee, which is –
French.
Yeah, he can't even speak English.
He's French as shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the same guy who argued with me for a half hour about that. And then and also said, I used to play football with Tony Romo, and Tony Romo was like 5 years older than him, so that never happened. I used to sack his ass. No, you didn't.
He used to sack his well, maybe he sacked the guy's ass named Tony. It had nothing to do with football.
Quick set, Tony. What's up to you, buddy?
But with that said, I thought I would use – because this is my form of where I get to – if I want to go after someone, I can. Speech now. Real freedom of speech. So with that said, should we go into Batman?
Yeah, let's go into Batman.
What was our first episode, Rob?
P.O.V. So point of view.
Oh, that's like those porns I watch.
All right, pull
like
that
those.
one out.
Yeah.
All right,
that was a written down joke.
Yeah.
No, P.O.V. Pretty decent episode. There wasn't like a clear villain for this one. Kind of centered around just a miscellaneous gang that the cops had set up for a sting operation. So it started off with everyone kind of at a bank. You saw 2 cops on the outside of the bank down.
It actually was not a bank. It was a warehouse.
Warehouse.
They were in a
They're
warehouse.
always warehouses.
A warehouse.
It was a warehouse, sir.
A warehouse. A building a building,
A
of
warehouse
some
with
sort.
like $6 million in a random safe.
$2 million, they said. They
$2
said there
million.
has to be a couple million after they drilled the safe.
Well, that's why we brought him on, because he
He
remembers those
has
details.
already surpassed Patrick as a third chair. I just want to say it because
Well, Patrick was never a third chair. He was always a fourth chair or out.
he was the fourth chair, even though there were only three of us here.
Guys, he was a third and fourth
Well,
chair due to his size.
He was the third and fourth chair until he broke it.
He did totally
He
break
broke
a
the
chair.
fucking. I showed you that clip, right?
Yep, I heard
he
that
fucking
one.
Broke the goddamn chair.
All right.
So anyway, it was a sting operation. Essentially, the cops were trying to take down what ended up being a drug lord, and they approached the episode from everyone's point of view who was involved in the situation, except for Batman's. So Batman was kind of around throughout this whole thing. They start by kind of showing what happened independent of anyone's point of view. The whole kind of the sting operation goes down and fails. From an outside perspective, in the next scene, they go and they're investigating what went wrong with the whole situation. They have the lead investigator first, kind of questioning Bullock. The whole time, they're kind of implying that the cops may be in on it, and the detective may be in on it to try to get money for themselves. So essentially, the two cops and Bullock are trying to defend themselves while the investigator is, kind of questioning them. So they get into Bullock's point of view first.
Did we ever find out what that guy was like?
The main villain?
No, the
lead investigator
yeah.
guy? No, they didn't get into it.
We're just assuming that it's internal affairs.
So yeah, they had the room they were they were questioning everyone in. It wasn't like an interrogation room. It looked like it was Commissioner Gordon's office, but there was like a guy questioning the
with the
Detective
one
Bullock
with
and
the
the two
one
cops.
lamp in the room.
Yeah,
Kind
so
of like this room.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the guy kind of yelled it. It would almost make you believe the guy is somehow above Gordon, but the only person above Gordon is the mayor.
Right.
So
But technically, internal affairs
would be independent of.
They're their own separate area. They can pretty much do what they want if they.
But wouldn't they still fall under the jurisdiction of?
Not really. They fall under their own jurisdiction because they can accuse the commissioner of wrongdoing too.
I guess.
So I mean, if
So,
they
yeah,
tell him
so,
to back
well-
off their case, he has to back off their case.
So I guess it would be internal affairs.
Because he made them give up their badges and stuff.
So so they go at it first from Detective Bullock's point of view. I don't know if you want to kind of explain it from Bullock's point of view, if you remember sort of what happened there. Or...
Well, that was interesting, actually, because he was blaming the Batman the entire time about everything. But so he was supposedly he saw the Batman go into the warehouse. And he's like, oh, Batman's going to ruin my sting operation. So he's like, well, I got to go fix this. So he just kind of wanders in. And he's trying to be all sneaky, but from what I've seen so far, he's kind of a bumbling idiot. So he kicks a can and then proceeds to fall and throw his handgun. And so
should never happen.
Yeah, you should
Trained
probably
officers probably
not going to toss your gun. But so he's on the ground and he's like, "Oh man, the Batman must have made a noise." We're seeing what he's actually doing, but when he's talking, he's basically blaming it all on the Batman. But so then the guys come up to him because they heard the can get kicked across the warehouse, and they find him laying there, and he's trying to grab his gun. They step on his gun, and then they just one guy actually tries to axe him, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, the weapons they were using were absurd, weren't they?
Yeah.
One guy had a huge crowbar, the other guy had an axe. Just a straight up axe.
It was
gimmick axe.
it was a fireman's axe. It had the spike on the back.
My question is, what purpose was that axe for if they weren't expecting company?
Well,
what were they going to use that axe for? Or was it just randomly in the warehouse and the guy just picked it up?
Maybe they were hoping it was a wooden safe. Maybe they're hoping it was like the 1800s and it was going to be the back of a stagecoach or something.
Well, most people, when you're doing some kind of heist, your weapon of choice is normally not an axe. It's not. Nor it would be a gun, or if maybe or a knife for maybe a stealth kind of thing.
Mine would be a suppressed firearm of some sort.
Well, okay. Well, during this time period, so
what time period does this technically take place in?
I don't know, but I haven't seen.
Because I mean, the cars are definitely.
I feel like
cars are definitely
it's its
Art
own.
Deco.
It's its own
See, I have a theory that it's a futuristic version of the 30s.
Okay.
Like if you pictured, what would be a great example? Fallout. I know you don't really play Fallout or anything, but Fallout is the future approached from the point of view of the 50s, correct?
Yes.
Late 40s,
Yeah.
50s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that
so
time
it's
period.
how the future would be, how it was viewed from back then is kind of like what that is. So I feel like this, even though it's in the 90s, is the future viewed from the point of view of the 30s.
Okay.
That late 30s, I'd say, because like the Art Deco styling, the cars and everything,
Yeah.
but then you have the futuristic stuff, but then you still have like Zeppelins going around the city and stuff.
Yeah, the police. Zeppelins you see
So
in the
where
beginning.
like if you approach the future from that time period, you wouldn't think Zeppelins would go away. You know what I mean? Like things like that
It was
still
supposed.
exist.
I think
and-
what Bruce Timm said, who's the animator, that it was supposed to be like its own time period, not to the 30s or the 20s, but it's their own universe. Like that's supposed to have that timeless feel to it, where if you're watching it, it has that mix of like today's technology with back then technology. I mean,
it really is a kind of a mix mash of
I like it.
times.
I like it like that. I think
So it has no, like you said, it's a timeless kind of feel because it has no specific time where you can pinpoint it to.
You notice the sounds when you hear Batman hitting the computer. It sounds like cameras going off or something like that when he's typing on the computer, like what an old computer might sound like, or what people from the 30s would believe a computer would sound like.
Yeah.
And obviously, in the 30s, I don't think computers were even a thing yet. So, I mean, but if they were to pretend this thing would exist, this is what it would sound like. So yeah, I agree with you, Rob. Like that's probably what they're going for.
The point of like the future viewed from the 30s, but they're doing it in the 90s. So that's kind of
right
where I think they're coming from with it.
So what else happened?
So they the whole thing kind of gets bumbled. Where did you kind of leave off there?
Bullock basically
Fucked up everything.
Yeah, he stumbled around, made a fool of himself, got into a fight with some thugs with a fire axe and a huge crowbar, and somehow, the fire axe hit something, electrical wiring, started the whole warehouse on fire. And Batman had to come save, what's his name?
Bullock. Yeah.
Batman had to come save him.
So
his
Mike, how do you feel about Harvey Bullock, the character, just from what you're seeing so far?
Well, he has potential to be a good character, but it seems like he fucks a lot of stuff up.
His whole because you didn't see the first 6 episodes that we watched, he blames everything on Batman. Like he has this vendetta. He wants Batman locked up. He doesn't believe in vigilantism, even though he's not really a clean cop himself.
Yeah.
But that's like his whole thing. So where do we go from there? We had the point of view of
the next they after they get done with Bullock's point of view, they go and they interview the rookie cop. The other 2 cops, there was Officer Montoya.
This is all a 22-minute episode.
Yeah, and they had a rookie officer with them, so they interviewed the rookie. The rookie really didn't bring a whole lot to the table. Pretty much, he was just standing outside. He saw 2 thugs go past. Batman kind of swoops down. He, at one point, I think that he grappling hooked the car. He grappling hooked the car that they sped by on. It attached itself to the door.
He threw calthrops, and that's what happened. And then
it blew out the tire. Then he got on the door, blew the whole door off the vehicle.
Yep.
And then essentially just beat the shit out of the thugs.
And he said they used the classic thing with Batman where he goes up to interrogate someone and the guy just spills his guts out. This is a common theme that you're going to see throughout the rest of the series. In Justice League, they reference the animated series a lot. And there's like one scene in Justice League where Superman's trying to interrogate someone and the guy's like, "You're not Batman. I once ratted out an entire gang to Batman and you're no Batman." And then Superman like grabs him. He's going to try to slam his head through a table. And the guy's like, "You're not going to do it. I know you're not going to do it because you're not Batman." And then he's like puts him back in the thing. He's like, "How does he do it?" So Batman has like a thing. And the nice thing is like what you'll notice is he'll interrogate someone, but you never hear what he says to the guy. You just hear him spilling out the guts.
Fucking slice the skin off your
right.
throat. It's probably something like so brutal.
There's one scene where he has a guy completely tied up at a construction site, and he's probably 30 stories up in the air, and he's just sitting there tied up, and Batman just grabs him. He's like, "Listen, it's you, me, and 30 stories." you're going to tell me exactly what I want to know.
That's pretty brutal. I appreciate it, though.
One thing about this episode, and actually the next episode we're going to review too, there isn't a true villain in this episode. Like you think of your stereotypical Batman villains, the Joker or someone along those lines. There's not.
That's the only one we really have seen. Since
we have Scarecrow,
right? But I mean, like as far as the main
villains, yeah, that's the only main villain.
We haven't seen Penguin yet. We haven't seen Two-Face. We'll get him next week. We haven't seen. Okay, we haven't seen him either. Mr. Freeze. So like these are kind of the main villains.
Yeah, and they're kind of just using the Joker over and over, which is good because it's establishing the Joker as one of the main villains. This is what, the third episode we've had with him.
The Joker, out of the first 9 episodes.
Yeah, so we're at 1/3 our Joker.
You guys just completely skipped over. Joker wasn't in this first episode.
Oh no, we're just saying we kind of
the first two shows that we did.
So I digressed onto the fact that we didn't.
I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah,
I was getting confused here too.
Yeah, we haven't had a. I'm just saying we haven't had a main villain.
So in Bat Chat 1 or Batcast 1, we had a Joker episode, and then in the second episode that we aired, we had another Joker episode. So this is the third Joker episode that we've seen.
Okay. Yeah, in 9 episodes. So like every third episode at this point, we're encountering a Joker one. Which was the Joker one, the last one out of the 3?
Yeah.
So that's great. Okay. So so next up, so they kind of get done with him. The next one up is they approach it from Officer Montoya, her perspective.
I can't believe you remembered that name because I completely forgot it.
Well, I remembered it and I pulled it up on my screen here.
Okay.
So anyway, they pull it up from Officer Montoya's perspective. Essentially, she goes in to see what's going on. As she's in there, she's walking around with her shotgun. The villains knock the shotgun out of her hand and kind of fight ensues. Essentially, Batman comes in there to save the day, pushes her out of the way, and this is cutting a little bit out of it, but pushes her out of the way, and it appears that the building collapses on Batman. So that's kind of how you leave her perspective. So essentially, there's a fight. He saves her. Building collapses on her or on him. So that's the last you see of that. Essentially, then cutting back to the interrogation. At the end of the interrogation, the lead investigator doesn't really buy into their story at all. Pretty much assumes they fucked everything up.
Didn't the guy have like a ridiculous drill gun that he was using?
Oh yeah, one of the villains had a drill.
Yeah, he used that to drill a safe. And then he decided that it would be a good idea to use a safe drill as a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
I mean, you could, but
I will say that these crooks in this episode alone are probably the most brutal of the ones we've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, you have a fucking axe, a crowbar, and a drill. Like, who does this? So anyway, interrogator, he's not buying the shit, so that's it. He's suspending all of them, has them turn in their badges and guns. That's that.
And Bullock slams his gun.
Yeah, he really just tossed it on the table. Was like, hey, buddy.
Yeah, fuck you. So,
excuse me.
Next scene, you have Montoya riding the train home. Now, one thing, we didn't learn the villain's name. The main boss villain, the one who's running this whole drug operation or whatever.
Spycock or something like that. Or
no.
Darkcock?
That was actually the warehouse that they found him at. You never really figured out his name.
It takes place on Dock Hathcock.
Oh.
Or that's where
it was on the dock in this Hathcock warehouse.
Hathcock. Cock. So, but you don't really get the villain's name. He's just he's a
kingpin, a drug lord, whatever he was.
He owned a pirate ship, though, right?
I think it was just a ship.
I think that was a freighter.
Not a pirate ship, just a ship. No pirate.
I guess if you're a Somalian pirate, anything looks like a pirate ship to you.
Yeah, cruise ship, cargo vessel, whatever.
Slightly bigger dinghy than what you have,
So, essentially, next scene you have the Officer Montoya riding the train back home or whatever after being interrogated, kind of down, but she's trying to remember some of the stuff that went on. Essentially, she starts remembering words, names, whatever. She figures out that these people are meeting up at a dock. When she had walked into the warehouse before, she had heard them talking about something. She remembers what she heard them talking about, a dock. So she heads to the dock where they're all meeting up. cue Batman hanging from the ceiling inside this warehouse.
Which he looked like he planned.
So apparently after the building had fallen on him, the warehouse that had caught on fire, they had captured him or whatever, tied him up, strung him up, hung him from a beam in the warehouse. So he's hanging in there.
Got himself with Batman, what you also notice is when he does get captured, he will intentionally stay around, like pretending like he's still captured, so he can learn more about who is doing what and that kind of stuff. Like he gathering intel or whatever you want to call it. So he looks like this was like the first time we've seen him do this.
And essentially that's it. I mean, he gathered enough intel to finally feel that he was comfortable freeing himself. He had a blade up his sleeve for some reason.
That they never checked him for.
Apparently they just strung him up. They didn't pat him down or anything.
They did take his belt, though.
They did take his utility belt. That is a good point. So he was up there. He had enough. He got just enough information out of him. He got just the information he was looking for. Cut himself down. Swung down. Another fight ensues. Not really a fight, though. And you have an interesting story about why you don't see fights.
Okay, so from what I've noticed and from, I think, from the cartoons at the time, when you made a cartoon for kids in the early 90s, you weren't allowed to show like certain kind of violence. It wouldn't pass the censorship. So their way of getting around, like how do you do a crime fighting show without showing violence? Especially when it's kind of adult. It's not necessarily, I would say, a kid's show by any means. It's addressed more to maybe older kids, because otherwise we'd see Bugs Bunny with Batman and that type of shit. Like it's not Looney Tunes or anything like that. So for them to show serious violence, they would have to show the camera off the screen and show shadows fighting, or they let it up to your imagination of what he could be possibly doing to like maybe one of these guys. We saw in the episode after this where the lights went dark and you just heard screaming.
Screaming and thudding noises and stuff.
Right. And so that was their way of trying to put violence in the show without doing actual hand-to-hand violence. They weren't allowed to show like someone getting shot, but they could show someone getting shot off screen, because that does happen in the show.
Yeah, where someone's just laying down. You hear a gunshot and someone's laying and kind of crumpled up in a corner.
They're not allowed to show
holding up,
they're not allowed to show murder, but they could show it off screen, or you assume it by maybe one scene a guy is running, and the next scene you see a funeral for him or something like that. In Mask of the Phantasm, this was the movie that I think we're going to be doing in 2 weeks. Mask of the Phantasm is the first of the animated series universe where you actually get to see legit death, killing, that kind of stuff. It was a rated PG movie, and it was a theatrical release. So they were allowed to show a lot. A PG rating back then was you could do a lot with a PG rating. Because I think back then, I don't even know when did Rated R come around?
Rated R has been around for quite a while.
Yeah, but when did it, was it the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think it was maybe mid-70s, 80s, because actually, I was watching a documentary on this a while ago.
Or PG-13 I'm talking about. When did PG-13
PG-13? I don't know about PG-13 per se. But yeah, did you know that Rated X was before Rated R? They used to call those films Rated X. So there's actually a lot of movies out there from the 60s that had an X rating that then got re-rated as Rated R. So X wasn't always for porn. Back then, triple X was for porn. That's why
I've come across some X movies that weren't really porn either. They were just gratuitous violence.
I think Midnight Cowboy was one of the bigger films that
it just sounds like a porno.
Yeah, it was about a gay prostitute in New York, essentially. But it was
Rob would know this.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite films. I watch it every day. But no, it was something that had an X rating, and then it got re-released or whatever with an R later on because it fit the criteria of an R, and then X was for more or they had NC-17 or whatever.
Well, the thing about Batman animated series compared to the other cartoons at the time is they took the show seriously, and they wanted to tell maybe not necessarily complex storytelling, but actual storytelling and it wasn't just a bunch of nonsense. They have a little bit of hokiness in it, but that's just because that's
Well, those are the Robin episodes.
right.
So.
But for the most part, they tried to get rid of the campy Batman that you saw from the 60s. And a lot of people up to this point, before the Tim Burton movie came out, the 89 film, that was what everyone thought Batman was for the longest time.
Well,
Adam
you really
West's
didn't have
campy
anything
Batman.
in between that. If you weren't reading the comics or anything,
Right. Well,
that's
you had
what you got. You had, the Adam West Batman from the 60s, and then this.
Right.
You had a Batman movie in '89, and that was still kind of hokey in its own way. I thought it was a really good movie. I thought Jack Nicholson was a fantastic Batman.
They went with a way darker feel to it than
That's
what we were
Michael
used
Keaton
to.
one.
Yes.
Yes, that was the first Michael Keaton one. Batman '89.
That is my favorite Batmobile of all time.
Yes. And actually, well, a lot of the people, not a lot, but a few people that worked on that movie also worked on this animated show. Danny Elfman did the theme of Batman the Animated Series. And then Shirley Walker did all the other music, who also helped, I think, in '89 as well. Not a big name in that, but it was mostly Danny Elfman that did all the music for the '89 Batman film.
As he does with a lot of Tim Burton's movies.
They wanted to kind of create '89 Batman, but in an animated form. And that's what they did for the most part. Now, Mark Hamill, who plays the voice of the Joker, his whole thing was he didn't want to be Jack Nicholson. That was like his whole thing. Not Jack Nicholson Joker, because he did it so well. So he had to go a complete different take on it. And I think it's a combination of a little bit of Jack Nicholson and a lot of Cesar Romero, like kind of combined, and then it's a Mark Hamill Joker. And Cesar Romero was the am I saying the right name? The guy who played Joker in the 60s?
Oh, God, I wouldn't know. I hated that
no
show.
I think that's Cesar Romero.
I thought the show was a little bit unwatchable.
Oh, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I hated it when I was a kid, too. Because I grew up with the animated series, and then my dad put on the 60s Batman, and I was like, fuck this.
You want to know what's great?
The one thing I did like, though, is the shark repellent from that one. That was I remember that vividly.
Yeah. Funny thing, so same time periods, give or take a few years here. But, all right, as we've talked about on the show before, huge Star Trek fan. But I hate the original series. Not a fan of the original series. It's not the cast, because they did, like, the first bunch of movies from it. But I don't like the campiness of it. I don't like it, and that one took place in the 60s, just like Batman. So you, on the other hand, big Batman fan, you don't like the original Batman or the Batman from the 60s, same reason, campiness and all that stuff. But you like pretty much everything else. Hopefully not the George Clooney Batman.
Well, okay, so with Batman, it's weird because really the only version I really like is the animated series Batman. The Michael Keaton Batman, I did not like the '89 film when I was a kid, because I watched the animated series first. So when I went to the live action film, to me, because they rewrote a lot of the stories, like I knew Batman's parents weren't killed by the Joker. I hated that story. I didn't realize that it was Tim Burton's Batman. It's tough to explain that to a kid, that I thought the animated series was the correct story, and then this was like another story, and I just didn't believe it. So I immediately dismissed it as like a good Batman film, like immediately as a kid. So I had to go back, maybe I want to say like 5-6 years ago or whatever, and rewatch the '89 film, and I watched it where it was Bruce Timm's Batman, and then you have Christopher Nolan's Batman later on in 2005. So with that take to it, it's just someone's version of it, and realize that there is no correct version, that everyone has their own version. The animated series Batman is Bruce Timm's Batman. Bruce Timm's Batman is very flawed in his ways and how devoted he is to the mission, as you'll find out later on in the series when he brings in people to help him, and how he distanced himself from them all the time and never treats them as equals. And I'm stuttering today. The Christopher Nolan Batman is all way too much talking for me. The Tim Burton's Batman, they show you a lot of things. you see, like, one of my favorite scenes is when the Batwing goes up in the sky and you see it in the moon. That's just a really cool image. Gotham City looks like Gotham City. It looks like a comic book movie. Christopher Nolan wanted to humanize Batman.
Yeah,
so
you wanted to make it real. Like, this could happen. This could be
it would never happen. It could never happen. It wouldn't be realistic at all. Do that, because that's just the expectations are way too high there. He'd have to have a team of people for that to work. His knees would be shot. He wouldn't be able to jump across rooftops. That's just not a 30-year-old man, even in peak condition, could do that. And what I didn't like, how he always talked about how he felt. Where in the '89 film, he didn't do a lot of talking. They just showed you stuff, like the scene where he just puts the rose in Crime Alley, where he just puts the rose down. No emotion. You see him put the rose down, but you can tell that this man is severely hurting inside. Where Christopher Nolan's Batman's like, my parents are dead. Like, we get it. Like, it's way more of a literal take to it, and he tries to disguise his voice. Where if all you have to do is just change it. Don't. Dude, no one talks like that.
Triple H.
Right. You're a professional wrestler when you talk like you sound like Scott Steiner or Kevin Nash or whoever. You know what? Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious is like the one that comes to my mind as far as a terrible talker, but has to do that wrestler voice.
Ultimate Warrior.
Right. And when The Dark Knight the Dark Knight, right? The second movie? Hated it. I'm like the only person I feel like.
I like Batman Begins. That was my favorite out of the three by far.
Me too. I like Batman Begins, and I think Dark Knight Rises was good up until the unnecessary plot twist.
Yeah.
The Bane being working for Ra's al Ghul. That was fucking stupid.
Well, it kind of ties it back onto the first one.
I understand that.
Yeah, I know.
That should have been the second movie.
Which they bitchified Bane. They completely made him a second-class, B-class bitch character instead of someone who can stand alone.
Right, which he did. The first part of the movie, he was awesome. Tom Hardy was amazing as Bane.
Then they ripped his dick off, and they kind of said, all right, now you're a bitch.
Right. And I felt like that plot twist ruined the movie.
Correct.
So for 100%. Me, when I watched that movie, I watched the first hour, and then I turned it off.
Like, well, that's all I need to see.
This is all that really fucking mattered. Oh, George Clooney's Batman. All right.
Well, here's the thing. Now, Batman and Robin and Batman Forever came out when I was younger, obviously. How old are you, Mike?
I'm 25.
25, so you're 3 years younger, right? So for you, I think you wouldn't have been born for the '89 film. Probably didn't see it till you were probably older, right?
Yeah, I was like teens.
Okay. How old were you when you saw Batman Forever when it came out?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would have been really wrong because I think that came out 96,
5, 6.
No, I think Batman 7? And Robin was 97. So
no, was it?
Well, maybe 98. Yeah, because my parents weren't even divorced yet when Batman
and so Robin. Sorry that's your point of reference.
Well, my parents were still together. My
parents divorced in 98. So I remember going to see that movie with both of them. So it had to have come out before 98. Because my parents separated in 98. I think I want to say, because it would have been third grade. Which may be 97. So I think Batman Forever was like 95. Because Batman Returns was 92. 91. But anyways, the point is I saw Batman Forever pretty much when it came out, so it was like 8 or whatever. I hated it, and it was geared towards kids. But I thought the Riddler was Ace Ventura in a Riddler costume, and I just hated it. And Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face was just a crazy maniac, which is not what we've seen. He's supposed to be a tortured character with two split personalities, one personality trying to fight the other one off, and then the darker side uses half his face. That's what the Two-Face thing's about.
Well, Batman is 1943, so you're a little bit off. That was World War II. Batman and Robin was 1949, and Batman, again, was 1966. Wikipedia.
That's the wrong Batman.
Oh, shit.
Well, it's on the Batman in film page.
No, in all seriousness, Batman, the first Tim Burton one was 1989.
Right.
Batman Returns was 1992. So
I was a year
right
old.
in line
came
with
out.
this, with what we're reviewing right now, Batman Forever, 1995,
Okay.
and Batman and Robin was 1997.
Okay, so yep, I was right.
So,
Actually nailed it both. I nailed it on both years.
yep. Then Batman Begins was 05, Dark Knight was 08, Night Rises was 2012.
Right. So I know we digressed into the movies, but that's fine because it's all things Batman, right? All things DC or all things Marvel, whatever. So with that said, what's our next episode? Should we just get into that?
Yeah, why not?
Forgotten.
Forgotten.
I liked this one. This was good.
Forgotten. So it starts off. Was it some organizer or some volunteer
Some homeless guy was getting banged in like the hospital or whatever. So Bruce Wayne joined in, and then he asked what happened to the rest of the homeless guys, and they're like, "Well, they all forgot." And that was the end of the episode.
They were all forgotten. So it was just gay homeless sex. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Dave was there.
Yeah, but so essentially, Bruce Wayne learns that homeless people are being attacked and going missing. So
Well, not necessarily being attacked, but they're going missing.
they're going missing. So Bruce Wayne decides to go undercover as a homeless guy, dyes his hair gray,
white.
dyes his hair, or no, clear. He dyes his hair clear.
Yeah.
And he hangs out in an alley.
He put to make him look dirty and disheveled.
Oh, I thought that was blackface.
He looked
My bad.
he looked like the cleanest homeless guy I've ever seen,
and he was fucking huge and buff.
Yeah, he was
Like,
just a very,
here
very.
he is. He's
chiseled
how much did you
homeless
say he's supposed to weigh theoretically?
He's supposed to be like 280 or something like that, or 265.
That's pro wrestler size.
Right, he's massive. And the Dark Knight Returns, which was a Frank Miller comic that was adapted to film, they wanted to make him even bigger, so that's why they introduced a new Robin as a girl, so because they wanted to make him look even bigger compared to everyone else. And for the most part, he's just a massive man at this age. Like, he's still kept in shape, but he's just big. When he puts on the Batman costume, he just looks like he's way too big for the Bat costume. Or this one looks a little bit more slimmer.
Well, my thing is, even Batman, what? The one we were just talking about before. The one from the future.
Beyond.
Batman Beyond. I had Batman Begins stuck in my mind, and I couldn't get Begins, the word Begins, out of my mind. So anyway, Batman Beyond. Bruce Wayne still towers over the kid in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's still fucking wide. He's hunched over a little bit, but he's still fucking
Well, it's
huge.
the same animators too for both shows.
Correct. So he's still massive, even like compared to everyone else in that one. So like just a weird thought there.
But back to him being homeless. My favorite part is he rolls up to the homeless camp where he's trying to figure out where the guys go missing in a perfectly maintained Studebaker. But he's trying to be homeless.
Yeah, like he picked his worst car.
Yeah.
But his worst car is better than most people's best car.
Yeah.
So like,
it's perfectly maintained, like 1930s Studebaker. And
yeah.
okay.
So here he is. He's just rolling up to the homeless camp. So anyway, not to give like a point for point breakdown on this one, but anyway, he encounters two thugs in the alleyway. They fight him. Somehow he gets knocked out or whatever of some sort.
He got blackjacked
in the back of the head, and he ended up in a work camp. So this kind of revolves around a forced labor camp from another nameless villain, some fat fuck who eats turkey legs.
The guy.
Not only does he eat turkey legs, I mean, this guy devours them.
Yeah, I mean, it is bone.
You saw him take one bite, and then you literally saw him suck it all off the bone.
He's the villain from Pocahontas. I'm assuming I was just missing the dog. Maybe he ate the dog.
He could have eaten.
Yeah,
that was the turkey leg. It was the dog leg.
It was just.
It's a massive dog leg.
Pug.
The pug was already fat.
I like that pug. That was my. What was the other thing in there? A raccoon or some shit?
Yeah, the raccoon was like the fucking
Yeah.
native one, and then
He's. Oh man, it's like you saying, Fucking Sneaky Peter.
This
Anyway,
is, very out of my element for me.
Yep. So anyway, first off, Bruce Wayne, he doesn't remember anything about who he is, what he is, or anything in this episode. He's pretty much, for the most part, acting as one of the slaves in this episode, but he has slight flashbacks throughout, kind of, giving him a hint as to who he is. One is, involving the Joker. One involves his parents' gravestone. I think there was one where he even got a view of the bat.
Normal size man. That's how big he is compared to the normal size man.
Fuck that.
I would be crying.
This is him at the age of 60 years old or 62 or something. Like, he's older, but
And
this
he's just a massive.
He came out of retirement. He's got a shotgun on him.
That's a sniper rifle. There's a scope on that. That's
Whatever.
not a shotgun.
Okay, sorry.
Come on, gentlemen. That's so
Area of expertise in life.
that
We-
vehicles.
we have to make
vehicles.
this
I'm
clear.
good at figuring out vehicles too.
So,
Fixing vehicles.
anywho, so he's trying to remember who he is throughout, and he makes some friends with a couple of the other guys who were forced into it, who are very chipper for being forced into slavery, essentially. The whole area they're in too, it's like the Wild West somehow.
Yeah, it really does remind me of like mesas in Arizona or something.
Don't you get that feel? It's like a prison camp in the Wild West where they're mining for miscellaneous, who knows what, in mines that collapse.
I think it's farther away from Gotham than we think, because he had used the bat jet to get there. Alfred did.
Yeah, I guess.
So maybe it is like somewhere in Arizona or something like that.
But I mean, I guess he was unconscious, so you don't really know how long.
We don't know how much time was passed in between that either. That wasn't really. It
But-
felt like it was just a couple of hours.
Alfred found Batman Studebaker and took the tracking device off of it and put it on the villain's truck, and that's how he found out where this camp was.
Right.
So
and
Alfred was really going
much,
the extra mile in this one.
And how much? How long would that have taken? So, if that truck was traveling, Gotham City is supposed to be kind of New York.
Yeah, it's basically New York.
So-
Manhattan area.
So maybe, what's the closest desert area
To New York,
Yeah.
the other side of the country.
Right.
Yeah. That would be
Unless-
like 20-hour drive. But I mean, I guess Alfred could have been
maybe
taking
a
his
full day
sweet-ass
went by.
time
Yeah.
getting the Batjet and Batwing ready and stuff.
It begs the question also why you wouldn't just abduct people who are closer.
Unless Gotham City isn't its own universe, and so there might be a random desert. Maybe
There could be something out on the
Right.
city limits or something.
right.
That's
So-
horrible. That's terrifying.
But my favorite thing about bringing back about them being chipper is when they're mining, part of their mine collapses. And one of the guys, literally, the mine collapsed on this guy. And they're freaking out because they couldn't find him. And he's like, oh, don't worry. Take your time. This is the first break I've had all day. I was like, this guy's been kidnapped for weeks, months, and then just had a mine collapse on him. And he's still happy about
I mean,
it.
I guess it's better than being homeless. Jesus. It's huge.
Yeah.
That's what all the women
So
say
they
about me.
implement
Pretty thick.
They implement hot boxes. It's pretty thick. Jesus Christ.
That's also what the women say about me.
But they implement hot boxes as a mean of torturing the slaves or punishing the slaves.
Yeah.
In this one.
I thought that
Wow.
was
That's just good writing right there. I don't know. Like that's something that was actually
that was
used.
very late 1800 or very mid 1800s. I like that they added that in there.
Yeah.
And the big fat dude kind of looked like a plantation owner too,
Yeah.
which I mean,
Mhm. Who was always eating, and the words he was using, like it was becoming less and less decipherable throughout the episode.
I
Like-
couldn't understand him the whole episode. Mike was telling me what he was
in the
saying.
beginning, yeah, he was pretty. You could actually understand sort of. It just sounded like he was talking with a mouthful of cock.
I mean, as a
But-
fat person myself, I mean, I couldn't understand that fat language.
I thought it was just universally understood from one person to another, but no. Okay.
I thought English was the same way, but apparently not.
So essentially,
English with a fat accent.
Just call your mouth being stuffed full.
Alfred
Whoa.
Alfred was pretty much the shining star of this episode.
He was
I mean,
pretty
he
good.
was a champ. I mean, he came to Bruce Wayne's aid in this one, delivered a bat suit to him. And that's kind of when everything got good. He just beat the fuck out of everyone. As soon as he got that bat suit on, Alfred came up in the bat jet. Bruce Wayne sees the bat jet. Eventually, he remembers who he is and everything. Sees the bat jet flying past. It lands. Bruce Wayne comes up to it. He kind of gives Alfred a good old punch in the shoulder, like, thanks for showing up, or what do you say, you son of a gun, or whatever.
Well, he said that first.
He came through, delivered the bat suit, and then it was just fucking game over at that point. So
he destroyed everybody.
Pretty much what you saw was Batman killing everyone.
Not intentionally.
They got into a fight in the mines, which were at the top of a mountain. Just happens to be. Essentially, he knocks everyone out except the main fat-ass villain guy. Puts the fat-ass villain guy down a fucking slide, shoots him, pushes him down. He somehow lifts him up onto it. He actually struggled. This guy was so fat, he struggled to lift him up. Put him on there.
He's probably over 400 pounds.
Mind you, he knocked out 20 guys already. So the only person he pushed down the slide was their boss. The guy goes down the slide, Batman's behind him, and the whole fucking top of the mountain explodes because somehow I guess it was mining explosives were in there, and fire hit the mining explosives.
It was the good old TNT, Rob.
And the whole fucking top of the mountain blew up, thusly killing everyone inside the mountain.
But I have to digress here. Before that happens, my favorite part was he knocked thugs out and he put them in a minecart and shoved them down a ramp past everyone else so they would see exactly what was going to happen to them.
Batman was fucking brutal in this one. Gotta say, like, he was more violent than he normally is.
He was probably as violent as he probably was in the Underdwellers episode where he tied up an alligator.
Yeah, nice. I mean, the Underdwellers one, this is where we had a slave labor camp again, but it was with children.
Okay, and that's okay. It's just like old China.
Eventually, what happened was one kid was caught pickpocketing, or stealing an old lady's purse. So he took this kid in and fed him, clothed him, bathed him, whatever, got him, and wanted to figure out who was running this whole show. So the kid brings him back to the compound where the boss was or whatever in the sewers, and he sees there's like
a bunch of kids.
40 other kids down here.
Nice.
And he instantly fucking snaps.
He's like, where is he?
You have all these, he just realizes this guy is a huge child abuser. Go for it.
I was just gonna reference Andrew's story from earlier where the cat's a child abuser too, but
we got nothing but child abuse and slavery in this episode. What is going on?
Well, another thing was that I really about that Underdwellers one is when he got so angry, he was ringing the bell like a maniac, and he ripped the bell completely off.
He just started ringing the bell to get the guy's attention, and then just got so angry, he just ripped the whole fucking bell off the ceiling. Ding, ding, ding! Ah! Just ripped it off. So it's kind of great, but that was a good episode. Yeah. By the way, but
this was good too. I like this one too. I liked all three of these for the most part.
Yeah. So essentially, Alfred saves the day in this one.
Mm-hmm. So we get to see how. We haven't really seen what Alfred's role is in the show so far, except for a couple. There was one episode where he told Batman that "I'm proud of you." The fear episode.
Oh yeah, where he was scared his parents wouldn't be proud of him.
Right.
Yeah, you want to know? First interesting thing about these first two, you had Montoya save the day in the first one, and you had Alfred save the day in the second one. So it's kind of cool that you're showing Batman's a little bit vulnerable in both of these two episodes.
Mm-hmm. So this was good. So our next episode was called Be a Clown.
Be a Clown. Yeah, Joker episode.
Another one with Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
This was pretty good too. I don't think it was necessarily the best out of the Joker episode. Well, I don't know, because the three Joker episodes haven't been necessarily strong episodes. I felt like they've been the weakest of the ones we've seen so far. Which is saying something because it's the Joker. You would think they'd be awesome. But
personally, this being my first Joker episode, I felt that even compared to non-Joker episodes, the second one we watched with the prison camp, I felt that, or the work camp, I thought that was a much better episode than the Joker one, story-wise and how everything came together in the end.
Just to point out, what's awesome about all these, they're all standalone episodes, right? So we're watching them in order because we're reviewing these episodes one by one, and we want to have some order to how we're doing it. have to watch these in order. You
No.
can watch these in any way whatsoever, and they're all stories contained within an episode. Like you didn't have to watch, last week's episode to know what's going on in this one. Sure, it might help with like some of the characters or whatever, but they're all contained stories. And keep in mind, these are all under a half hour. Like once you take all the commercials and everything out of it, like when you're just watching them on the DVD and you're just watching an episode, these are like 20 minutes long. And you're getting that much story packed into 20 minutes. How much writing on modern television, Fox, NBC, ABC, do you even get this much story? A self-contained story in 22 minutes.
You don't.
What do you get? How many? I mean, there are shows out there that are still pretty good. But, I mean, even if you think of Supernatural, not even a lot of those are self-contained stories anymore. They're all overarching.
Tie into another episode.
The first few seasons were, self-contained stories in an hour. And they were really, really good.
X-Files was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Where every episode was kind of contained in one.
I eventually
and then they had one
that too.
And they had like one big storyline going through, but
Correct.
they'd go back to it once in a while.
Right.
This one doesn't have Batman has no big overall storyline.
These are just all individual
fighting criminals and being a vigilante.
And he's been Batman like this universe. He's already been Batman for about 2 years. So this is like the beginning of a stage, but it's not like Batman Year One. Like he's not brand new to it. He's been doing it for a couple of years.
Sort of knows what he's doing now.
Yeah, and I mean, even with animated shows that were on around this time, like I don't know if either of you watched the original the X-Men cartoon.
Right, I've heard of it
a little.
Yeah.
Now that one was
it.
completely to another. Like you weren't just picking up a random episode of this show. Like you had to have watched. The one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. Like they had this whole huge storyline with the Sentinels in there, and that was like 15 episodes long.
Another thing with this animated show, we haven't seen this like up to this point. Your best animators were Disney. Anything Disney was doing had like great animation style. And Warner Brothers was always so far behind them.
Yeah, they were always a distant second place.
Right.
A B tier kind of.
And then this came out, and this put them right up there. Because then you saw what Bruce Timm's team was able to do and create this, great animation. Just it looks to the Disney level. But you go back and watch Disney movies from the 70s or in the 80s or in the early 90s, their animation is like it stands today's animation. First of all, I think a lot of today's animation sucks because now everything's computer and everything.
Well, yeah, it's
garbage.
It takes the art out of it for the most part. It's just kind of okay. Well, they just sat in front of a computer for a little bit and had some voice work done. So
right. So and this is all hand drawn. So like this is like amazing, but for what they're able to do. Especially because they took instead of taking a white background, they took a black background and drew everything on the black background.
That was for maintenance Dave there, in case he's listening. I'm surprised he didn't call in and ask for the keys.
Yep, the compactor's still locked. I'll get to it when I can.
Yeah, God, that fucking guy. But so back to our episode at hand here. We got a Joker episode. Essentially, there's a little bit of story about what happened going into this, but Joker's out of Arkham again somehow. They don't really get into how he broke out. He's just out. Just take it.
Christmas with the Joker was the only episode where
they
saw
show him breaking out by having a rocket attached to a Christmas tree. And he just he's in the prison or whatever. They're like having their Christmas celebrations. He walks up to the Christmas tree, hugs it, and it fucking takes off and goes through the roof. And he gets out. So that was actually Christmas with the Joker was your introduction to the Joker in this series. So that was in our first episode that we covered. I think that was the third episode we watched.
Second.
Was it the second?
It was right after the.
Okay, so yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was the second one we watched. So anyway, what happens is the mayor is having a press conference and he compares the Joker, common thugs.
Batman. That's what pissed him off.
Batman that were having a car chase right outside while he was giving his speech about how he's going to make Gotham safe. Fuck no to that. So anyway, so that sets him off, and now he wants to teach the mayor a lesson, I guess. So it cut ahead to the mayor having a birthday party for his son. His son's into magic. The mayor breaks his son down for being in the magic, calls it stupid or whatever, tells him to get down to his party. He has a surprise for him. He hired a clown. Well, take a guess who the clown is that he hired. It's the
Jekyll.
It's a Man Bat, actually, from our first episode. No,
It's Bane.
This is face paint on.
It's the Joker dressed up as a clown. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I like to say that everybody at this party is retarded. And
correct,
stupid.
including Bruce Wayne, who
I was
to be at the party.
actually going to make that point too, because
Well, he didn't notice the clown until after he was leaving.
no, I'm just saying everyone at the party, because Bruce Wayne he kind of got there late.
Just got there.
Yeah, but
that laugh.
yeah, no one notices it's the Joker. I mean, he even put a special birthday candle on a birthday cake with his face on it.
Yeah,
and
everyone's like, "Ooh,
everyone's like, it's a sparkling candle." Like,
now, we might not know if Batman knows the Joker like we know he knows the Joker. That makes sense. Like,
I'm confused.
Okay, so
deep.
To him, like, we know Batman and Joker's rivalry. Us, the viewer, we know that ahead of time before watching this. Now, this might be way before Batman ever took the Joker as a serious villain compared to everybody else. Like, to him, he could be just another.
So he's kind of just a little nuisance that just keeps kind of popping up like
So
the common street thugs.
So he might not be able to. If he hears the laugh, it might not click that it's the Joker immediately.
But then why does? I guess my counter to that would be Joker obviously knows the Batman that well, though.
Yeah, but there's guys that are obsessed with him that he doesn't even know about.
But you don't think that it kind of establishes that there's deep history between the two of them?
It could be, but I think for maybe.
Or are we just taking it that it's an unknown?
I would have to say that the Joker doesn't necessarily have an obsession with Batman yet, outside the Christmas with the Joker episode, which I think these episodes are out of order a little bit. I think Christmas with the Joker is probably one that season they just put it in as number 2. Because that one seems like there was like a deep history, and Robin's in that episode. It's the only episode.
Are you talking? So this one, like, air date came later, or like it was supposed to be written in later?
Right. I think it's supposed to be written in later, but came out soon.
Came out before everything else.
This version of Batman and Joker doesn't seem like the connection is there like it was in Christmas with the Joker, where he was obsessed with.
Yeah, he did seem pretty clueless to who the Joker was in this episode.
Right.
He just kind of stumbled in.
Very unlike Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So to me, my only answer to that is he just probably doesn't know a whole lot about the Joker. This could have been the second time they've had confrontation,
Yeah.
Where the way we see it, it's the third time. So why wouldn't you know him by now? Especially if it's been like 9 weeks.
Especially after you encounter the Joker twice, you should probably know.
And the media knows him because the mayor said the Joker's name. So the media obviously knows who the Joker is. So it don't make a whole lot of sense. So that's something. Yeah.
Yeah, because the mayor did say the Joker was a problem too.
Right.
In his press conference
if
speech.
If the mayor and the city knows who the Joker is, why wouldn't Bruce?
Batman kind of clueless to him.
So that's probably a writing error. Probably someone in the writing just didn't really think of that. What they should have done is not even had Bruce there until after Jekyll left.
They actually have a pretty interesting. This can't be right. Did this air every day?
It might have.
At one point? Okay. So the order in which it has it is the first episode was 9/5/1992. The Cat and the Claw, part 1.
Okay.
The second episode is on Leather Wings, which was the first one we watched, right?
I think Cat and Claw is a pilot episode. That's why probably don't have that.
Okay. Third one was Heart of Ice.
Which is, we'll be getting that in a couple of weeks. That's on disc 2.
Fourth one, Feet of Clay. Fifth one, Feet of Clay Part 2.
Clayface.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 6, It's Never Too Late, where Batman throws himself into the middle of a mob war and rescues boss, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so some kind of story there. Episode 7, Joker's Favor. The Cat and the Claw Part 2.
So they just aired it so random.
So we still haven't encountered a Joker. Oh, Joker's favor would be the first one.
Which is actually one of my favorite episodes of the series.
Episode 9, Pretty Poison, which we did last week. Episode 10, Nothing to Fear. Episode 11, Be a Clown. So
that would technically be the second one. So I mean, that could mean
Be
that
a Clown was the second one then. Yeah,
that was aired, and Joker's favor was that was a good one. We'll get to that one. I think that's in the second season on the disc.
On discs.
Yeah.
Appointment in Crime Alley, episode 12.
Well,
episode 13, Point of View.
Okay, but just to stop you and kind of go into this, one thing I noticed is that so the episodes are kind of in order, and they're kind of introducing the main villains in the Batman world is how they're set up, especially the very first 5 of them where you had Mr. Freeze, you had Clayface. But on here, I don't think on the disc you haven't encountered any of them yet, right?
We've gotten the Joker, Scarecrow, and
Man-Bat.
Well, he's not really a main villain.
Yeah.
Poison Ivy.
Okay.
So 3.
Again, episode 15, The Last Laugh, which we did last week. Another Joker one. Two-Face 1 and 2 After Eternal Youth, Fear of Victory. I've got a Batman in My Basement, Vendetta, Prophecy of Doom, The Forgotten, which we just did. So I'm trying to look for
Christmas with
the Joker. And
it probably came out December 25th.
Episode 38, 11/13/1992. So we have quite a few Joker ones before we get to Christmas with the Joker.
So I was right.
In the order that they air, I should say. So I'm not sure what exactly the order on the discs are, or the disc is, but
it seems like it's random. I think they just put them on there randomly.
They just put them on.
I should say too that they have 60. According to this, the first season is 60 episodes.
So I think what it was the first 3 seasons was all technically one season. Because I think it's not technically called season 1. It's called volume 1.
Okay. Because then they have the second season as 10 episodes. The third season.
And that came out in 98?
The second season?
Yeah. Way late?
We'll pull it up right now. 94. 93, 94.
And that was known as The Adventures of that was known as The Adventures of Batman and Robin.
Then season 3 is 5. Season 4 is 98, 99.
Okay, so that's with the new animation style.
So, yeah. And then the final episode of that is 1/16/99.
So, what else happened in this?
So essentially, the mayor's kid leaves the party or whatever and joins up with Joker because he wants to be a magician.
Jekyll. It was Jekyll. Wasn't Joker.
Oh, yeah.
It was,
Jekyll.
yeah.
So he joins up with him, and then even the kid ends up realizing that the clown is absolutely demented. Joker is absolutely demented. Batman shows up. The Joker puts him to sleep with some kind of gas, puts him in a tank with water, and tries to drown him. So that happened. Tried to drown Batman, who obviously can hold his breath for an infinite amount of time.
Yeah, I said that in the episode, The Laughing Fish. He holds his breath. I want to say probably in real time was probably 2 minutes or whatever in airtime, but in their time it had to have been 10 minutes because he was wrestling with a shark.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, he
was riding the shark, and he was using the chain to choke it.
So Peter, where are you, Peter?
A lot of animal abuse in this series.
Yeah, killed Steve Irwin, number 2.
Yeah, except he wrestles a shark.
Yeah, except he gets eaten by a shark instead of getting stabbed in the chest by a stingray.
So we had that. At one point, the Joker is just walking around pretty much as the Joker, but he still has his mask on, and then he has the big reveal where he pulls off his mask and he looks pretty much exactly the same, but with green hair and not a cone head.
The cone head was freaking
me out. Because he had a cone head for the majority of the episode with
I was
orange
frightened
hair.
by it.
Yeah, so it was kind of disturbing, but then he switched off and he ended up with his green hair again.
I remember this episode as a kid. Like I remember watching this one as a kid, and I remember being terrified by the Conehead Joker.
And I remember watching you as a kid. So
as an adult?
We're coming full circle here.
Okay.
So
the joke's on you. I watched both of you as children.
Wow.
Home videos. So
I don't have any home videos.
that's what you think. I have them now.
As I said, I was watching you as a kid.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Okay,
Fair enough.
Whatever.
he just accepts it.
Watching me as a kid is totally fine with me, and I don't even care if you watch me now. It's all up to you.
Well, that kind of takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, I don't want to do it anymore
just
now.
took the wind out of my sails.
Enter at your own risk.
Well, Jesse? 9:30.
9:30.
Okay, I was gonna say like
Just gotta make sure he's still alive.
Right. So, what? So there was one scene where Joker swallowed a sword.
yeah, he was trying to show the kid how to swallow a sword, and he just had a trick sword that would retract into itself. It's like a switchblade sword, a switch sword.
So, Mike, this was your first Joker episode. What'd you think of the Joker?
I don't know. I wasn't even too thrilled with the whole episode in general. I was like,
I'm kind of with him with this.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. It was the Joker. It didn't.
I have a theory.
It wasn't a good plot though. I mean, there was not. It
That's
just kind of
the thing,
showed
right?
him doing what things you would expect the Joker to do. Like, oh, let's put a bomb on a birthday cake.
I
Done.
have a theory on why these Joker episodes haven't been good. Because for the most part, outside of Christmas with the Joker, which I thought was
and Robin was the downfall of that one, which sucked because it was a great episode, and then you had Robin.
my theory behind that is, I think I'm gonna blame it on Mark Hamill because I feel like they're paying Mark Hamill significantly more than a lot of the other voice actors, so they have to give him a lot of. They're paying this guy, so they want to give him lines, give him more and more lines. So there's way more dialogue in Joker episodes rather than story, and if you have a 20-minute episode, you're going to want to try to get all these Joker jokes in, and then you're running out of time to actually tell a good story. Now, it does get better. There's like 2 good Joker episodes that come to mind. I didn't realize he had this many, to be honest with you. I didn't realize he was in like 12 or whatever many we've seen so far. 3. But like this was, I don't know if this was, I think this was probably the weakest of the 3 Joker episodes. Yeah. The last laugh was all right. Last laugh was okay.
Again, though, like the thing is, like I would agree with you. I hadn't put together a theory as to why, but you can definitely tell like the story is lacking. There is not enough story behind like why he's doing what he's doing, why he's in the situation he's in, anything. Like they're completely cutting out the story, and you just have like Mike said, the Joker being the Joker. Mm-hmm. He's doing Joker things. That's not a story. It's him just being the Joker.
Right.
If
this was maybe a 45-minute episode or something like that.
Then you would have enough time to establish like a decent story. So it makes you wonder maybe
or they just fill it up with more bullshit Joker lines that I didn't even find entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder if maybe the Joker ones all should have been 2-parters. Because then you would have had enough time to establish story.
Joker's the only main villain that never has a 2-part episode in the series. Riddler gets his 2-part episode. Two-Face gets a 2-parter. Fucking Clayface gets a 2-parter.
Clayface.
The Penguin, Poison Ivy, I think gets one. Fucking Catwoman, who I could care less for in the series. She gets a 2-part episode. So I mean, like, and Robin gets his own 2-part episode. Ugh. It's good though, because it's the second season. The second season's way better than the first season. And so like. So yeah, with that said, I mean, this was kind of, I thought, a weak episode. Like this wasn't very good. I wouldn't say it was terrible by any means. I'd rather watch this than SmackDown.
Correct.
I'd rather watch 2 homeless guys fuck than SmackDown.
SmackDown is.
Essentially, wrestling has gotten to the point where it's 2 homeless guys fucking.
Well, right. Looks like I got to pick that up then.
Undertaker came back.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
How old is he? Like 78 now?
He's not far
50.
off. It's like 50. Yeah, he looks 50.
My
Goldberg's guy.
1 2 cents on that was I was all in until I thought he was going to take the spot of Shane McMahon as the 5th guy, but that didn't happen. So fuck him.
Yep.
Fuck Survivor Series too. I'll watch it though because I want to see. I want to see.
But I'm gonna watch it.
I want to see Lesnar destroy Goldberg.
Goldberg looks pretty fucking huge for being 50 years old himself.
He's gonna get his ass whooped.
You think so?
Lesnar's not jobbing to blue.
I did like the part though where
Jesus, gentlemen.
hold on.
Oh my God.
Hold on. No, but
Let's
no.
talk about more men humping each other. That's always fun.
No, but Brock Lesnar, the whole part where Goldberg's son will be calling him daddy. I thought that was a good line.
You gotta remember, this used to be the pinfall wrap up.
I
So
know.
we're easing. We're trying to ease out of it.
This was our Nicorette gum moment of the night. So, but no. Overall, though, with this episode, it was kind of a
letdown. I thought it was a letdown.
Yeah,
I felt like it had a good beginning.
Yeah, it had the potential to be something that turned out not to be. So,
like, what would have? Maybe he should have killed the son, or. I think the son should have went missing.
I think it would have been better if Joker would have kidnapped the son.
Right.
Instead of the son, like, well, you told me to do this, so I just happened to cross this, and here we are. Like, oh, that's dumb. No.
Right. I agree. This definitely had potential for – it had a better story than maybe The Last Laugh, but The Last Laugh had better action in it, way better action. And, he killed Captain Clown.
Yeah, the robot. Yeah.
He murdered Captain Clown.
Yeah, put him into a friggin' metal compactor thing and just kind of.
That's kind of brutal.
Yeah, he murdered a robot and Joker was disturbed by that.
Yeah, he's like, you killed Captain Clown.
Joker was disturbed that Batman did this?
Yeah, he killed, Joker had a robot in that thing and Batman killed him. He outright murdered him in the episode.
That's awesome.
So, that one had its moments. This one didn't really have anything
just kind of an overall, that one, it was funnier too. It had a good, passable story in it. It had very humorous overtones to it, where this one was just, it's Joker being Joker.
So next week we will have Two-Face Part 1 and 2, and then It's Never Too Late.
Which was written by 3 Days Grace. Interesting song and interesting episode. So
and then the week after that, which will be Batcast episode 5, we will do Batman Mask of the Phantasm, I think. Is that what we started? That's what we settled with?
Sure.
We can do the animated movies kind of in order.
Yeah, we probably should.
Okay, so we'll do Mask of the Phantasm. And then every 5 episodes, we're going to do an animated movie. Kind of take a break from the animated series. I think I just got butt fucked by a moth.
That happens to the best of us.
Well, I can't say that.
So, Mike, you gonna join us next week?
I don't know. It depends on what my schedule looks like, gentlemen. I'm pretty busy, but if I can find the time, I'll definitely be back.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. It's
You've
nice
been one of our better third chairs.
Right. I would have to say yes. Didn't spam anything or troll or be an idiot like Patrick is sometimes.
Patrick, sometimes that's all he does.
I'm trying to be nice.
Well, you don't have to be. I hope he's listening right now, crying at home.
He's not. He's like, he came up to me today. He's like, "What are you guys talking about Batman? You guys should talk about wrestling." I'm like, then start your own podcast.
Yeah, where he just fucking eats the whole time.
Right. I like Goldberg.
Goldberg. That was his only input. Man, that was his worst line. Why do you like Goldberg? Because he does power moves.
He has 2 moves.
He has fucking 2 moves. The fucking guy has 2 wrestling moves, and that's his favorite wrestler for some reason. Whatever. So he disqualified himself from being legitimate.
Now that we said that, my favorite wrestler is The Undertaker.
Nothing wrong with that. That is a solid choice.
I played a video game back when I had my GameCube set up, and he was the only one that could repeatedly smash people through vehicles, through cars in this game. So I liked him for that. I forgot. It was
the WrestleMania arcade game or something?
No, it was WrestleMania, and then there was this destruction mode where you walk around like a sledgehammer and break cars, and you have to slam guys.
What game he's talking about? I think it's in your house or something like that.
No,
it's an arcade version.
No, it's a literal. There's
Nintendo?
also no, it's for GameCube. It's a literal wrestling game, but there's a special mode where you just wander around like a car garage and you can destroy.
Is this that remade SmackDown vs. Raw with the arcade style to it?
Well, tell me a cover, I can tell you what it was.
Like, is it Legends Wrestling or something like that?
No, it was. I thought it was.
I remember that one. That was PlayStation 2, I think.
And GameCube.
Did it?
Yeah,
I had it for GameCube.
it was a.
There's a. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can show me a picture of the cover, I can tell you which one it was. I don't know, but that's why he was my favorite. And because he's badass, because he comes out with his eyes all white and shit. I thought that was the coolest thing when I was a kid.
Well, Undertaker is, I think, the best gimmick of all time, right? Because it's been around forever. And it still gets a little bit of Rob, you saw his entrance last night, right?
God, it's so long. It's painful.
Right, but it's
so
still
fucking long.
But it was way better than what was going on in the ring. Because he came out, I thought, at the perfect time.
What's Day of Reckoning? Which one is that? Click on. I don't think it was that.
No, it's Day of Reckoning, like a simulation game.
Was it Crush Hour on top?
That's the racing game.
Oh, what's Legends of Wrestling? That has a GameCube one. How did you do on that?
I think I know which one you're talking about. It's like an arcade style game, isn't it?
Because I mean, you had the wrestling to it as well. But I mean, yeah, like they were just modes you could do stuff in, like build your own wrestler and stuff.
Were they like obnoxiously built, like cartoony almost?
No,
okay.
They were more realistic.
Okay, so it's not that game.
Yeah, because that was the arcade one that I know what you're thinking about.
Yeah, they had like two versions of it.
It was Google, wrestling GameCube Sledgehammer or something. Because you could do like chair matches and stuff. You had the cookie sheet. You could bash someone garbage cans. Like it was like, and then you also had like the special modes where you could.
WrestleMania 18, maybe.
Dude,
was he Phenom Undertaker or was he a biker?
Dude, I don't even know. I didn't know there was different versions.
They come out with like a cape and shit, and like
come out with the black hat on and motorcycle. Limp Bizkit's theme.
I don't, dude. I have no idea. I'll have to go home
because that'll narrow it down to what year the game is, because it had to have been post 2003, and GameCube was pretty much done by 2005. So,
video game. I would just put Smash through car.
Day of Reckoning. It looks like it's Day of Reckoning.
Is it that one?
That one I never played.
Revenge mode. Click on revenge mode. Go back. I think it might have been that one then. Day of Reckoning, because if you go back, your computer's slower than shit, man. I'm about to bash it. WrestleMania.
It's 19.
19.
Okay,
I believe, because
I played a little bit of that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. That's what it was. Because it's literally showing him beating a guy who's going to throw him off a thing. Looks like he's in the garage that I remember playing in.
So he's the American Badass Undertaker.
This looks like
I recognize the music.
Yeah, and you would just literally.
This guy's playing a Super Mario.
Yep, this is it. No, but yeah, you're just a big badass in this. You could like smash people through cars and less hits. It's pretty brutal from what I remember.
I can't believe this is a thing.
Yeah.
It has a mini map.
Yeah, you'd go around and like beat people up.
That's it. It's over. It's all over.
Classic. Yeah.
Now we decided to go with the old pinfall wrap-up ending. Nice. So I can get flagged twice in the same video.
What are you getting flagged for?
This song.
Really?
I get flagged for this in the Batman theme every time. I haven't used this the last couple of weeks because I didn't want to get flagged twice.
Yeah.
But what happens is like when you get flagged, your video, you won't be able to get tagged, so you can show up a lot.
Well, earlier was going to be on iTunes and Audacity this time, so and the whole thing recorded. I'm looking at it recorded right now, so unless I jinx it somehow and delete the whole fucking thing, it's recorded.
Well, I was told the pinfall wrap-up again. I do that every time. So we still haven't really came up with a name for the show. I think we're just calling it.
No, we're just rolling with Batcast until we come up with something better. I mean, it's our show, so fuck it.
Right.
Whatever. That could be the name of the show. It's our show, so fuck it.
Have a good time.
So with that, I'm Andrew Caracci alongside
Robert Roth.
and
Mike Worzalla.
we'll be back next week with Two-Face Part 1 and 2, and it's never too late.
Never too late. Never too late.